Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of Run to the Hills. And it's a very tired Eddie and Gary, bleary-eyed, but we're recording this and we are committed because we love you, listeners. Mum, Dad, Gary, neighbour. How are you?
Well, I'm really tired. Just literally, I think I've just got in.
We're recording this. You've literally just walked in from holiday, but I was like, we need to do this. We got to do this now. And you very kindly have said we'll record this now. So
the podcast's bigger than us. Got to be there for our public on Fridays. No messing about.
It's got to commit to it. Tell me about the whole experience, because I loved tracking Lakeland 50 and the 100 over the weekend. I loved it.
Right, my goodness me. You know, the Lakeland. Oh, when I took part in the event a few years ago, I was part of the 100. So my experience was completely different, but I thought I'd go over there. Got a lot of friends doing it. So I thought I'd pop along and hang around outside of Paddy Bridge and then Ambleside.
Did you get arrested or?
You know, I pitched up with my camera and I think I picked the only spot in Paddy Bridge where there's a massive mobile phone mast in the background of all my photographs. What an idiot.
You didn't think like to run up the hill a bit and get to the lovely bit past the gate with the malls on?
I went up the hill, but I kind of started panicking that the 50 runners were going to catch me up. So I just pitched
and overtake
up.
You.
Yeah. But the size of the 50, I just couldn't believe. People just kept coming up the hill out of Paddy Bridge. It was amazing and massive and so inspiring, and 100% my name will be going in the ballot for the Lakeland 100. I've never again been curious about it, to really fancying it, to fully invested in it. It was
Isn't
brilliant.
that like everybody's 100-mile experience? Like you enter, you can't wait. You get there, you're like 30 miles in, you question yourself. You're 70 miles in, you're like, I am never running again. I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this. The minute you finish, and you sort of
sign it up again.
Literally, like, I could do that bit better.
I don't want to big it up too much.
Because you don't want people to enter in the ballot.
Exactly, yes. Everybody enter the 50, please, not the 100.
Yeah, but it's a completely different race, because by the time those 100 runners get to Dalmain, they have covered some territory.
Yeah.
And then the 50 is hardcore enough as it is. And the 100 mile, I mean, how do you feel when you get to Dalmain and you're like?
I felt okay there. I felt fine then.
What was your lowest point when you did it last time?
It was Mardale, basically. That's when everything went a bit.
Well, that is a lot of. I know that is a lot. I know it's a lot of 50 runners as well. Like, oh god,
For some reason, I think it hangs onto the heat. And Saturday was a hot day. So it was great. But it was interesting when we chatted off air last week, and I got so wrapped up in I want to do it in the 24 hours, and is that a strong enough reason to do it? And you really got me thinking. And if I could just enjoy, or be moving better over that last third of the race, say, then that is a good goal to have. And
we saw a course record go, didn't we, in the 100? And the guy was moving faster than the 50 record after I think it was Katie Saberstain who put it up on the. She does the splits. She's obviously she's with the baby watching, going, no one break my record. No one break my record. I can't remember the exact bit, but I think it might be that really runnable bit between Ambleside and Chapel Style.
Well, you just got a little climb. I'll butcher the name, but Lochrig. You got a little climb over there, and then it's pretty runnable if you are moving well at least.
I think that was a bit. Apologies if that's not the section, but anyway, quite large bit of the section, he was going faster than the men's 50 record pace. So
that is pacing.
That is pacing, and I think that 100 mile. I mean, it's a long last from Ambleside in if you're not feeling good. So I think all your training, should go in that strength at that back end of the course.
Yeah.
I always say that's a sign of a successful plan. It doesn't actually matter about your finish time or where you finish if you run strong at that. It's such a more satisfying race than the crawl-in, which...
I had a few people go past me. I remember coming up to Tilbury and... not many. It wasn't like saying a road marathon where just waves of people go past you. But it's still no fun. So if I could finish stronger than last time, that would be a big success. And oh my goodness, I bumped into quite a few listeners over the weekend. So that was
huge fans, big fans, t-shirts.
Yeah, big fans. Yeah, no t-shirts. I had my Chia Charge t-shirt on, doing my business, always working, Eddie.
Always working.
But it was wonderful. You know, you see, I was just on the floor with my camera and I'd be like, oh, smile for the camera, whatever. And people are like, oh, it's a podcast. It's Run to the Hills. And I'm thinking, oh, I didn't really think I had a recognizable voice, but yeah, it was great.
Your dulcet tones, so soft tones, people obviously like listening to them.
But it's so nice, you know. Obviously, they're not going to be kind of nasty to me, but just
stamp on you as they go past.
Really, great feedback, positive feedback. So it was lovely to bump into people.
Nice.
And
I'm yet to meet an international fan, but maybe if I like hang around at UTMB enough, someone might say,
Chia Charge t-shirt on, UTMB, nailed on.
And did you have a nice holiday?
I did, yes. But like I said earlier, I'm super tired. I went out running and filming with my camera, so I've got a few videos to come up on my YouTube channel, so that's good. But yeah, just tired. We took the kids up. Oh, goodness me, I can't remember the name of the fell. But I plotted it out on a map. And again, like a massive idiot, didn't appreciate how high we were going. And in a shop, the name of the place we went had its own mug. So it was a significant climb. And yeah, we had quite a few protests from the children, but we got there. And then when we looped round to Troutbeck, and the tea shop, which I would kind of banking on being open, wasn't open. Wasn't open on a Sunday and summer holidays, for goodness sake. What the hell?
What did you do? How did you pull that one out the bag? Because as a parent, that's a very low point when you realise.
Well, we still had some goodies, you know. I think we were popping to the Tesco and meal dealed it or something. That's what we did for our food, but the treat was the tea shop. So yeah, we had a few grumpy kids, but they're okay. There's plenty of ice cream in Ambleside, so you can soon soften the blow when you get back off the fell. But yeah, it was wonderful. Just tired. I love it over there. Dreaming about buying a place over there, but that's.
Well, I think you need a bit of dollar, don't you, around that area?
Well, for how I visualise my life in the lakes, it's it's skipping off your balcony down to the water's edge and going off on your paddleboard. Then those kind of properties are a bit out of my price range.
Never know the podcast. I mean, it's growing in popularity every week.
But yeah, fantastic. I can't wait. I'm going back over there next Saturday, so back over again. What about you? How's your week been? Tapering again?
I mean, it is actually the perfect time because as I was moaning to you earlier that I haven't got by myself.
Violins out.
Single parenting in the summer holiday. It rocks. Totally rocks. And so can't actually do very much. I think there's like 15 activities on my Strava today. As like every time I had 15 minutes, I was like, okay, I can get in another 15 minutes here. And I'm constantly in like some sort of sweaty outfit for some sort of sport that I can do while I'm watching a child do another sort of sport. Oh, it's awful. So yeah, I'm tapering again. Honestly, this tape, but the last tape I was really focused. I was thinking about it, and this one, I guess I do not have the time this week to do anything apart from put a jacket potato in the microwave for my tea. So I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. The weather is atrocious this weekend. 90 millimeters of rain coming down during my race.
How are you feeling? You said you were a bit poorly the build up to the last one.
Yeah, so I feel fine. And I'm just... it's a bit more runnable, this race. It's 30k, 1,500 meters, maybe not even that much, 1,300 meters. Done it before, so know what's coming. And I'm just going to go enjoy a bit of a hit out, see what happens. Is what it is. And I'm racing again the weekend after, much bigger, 40k, 4,000 meters. We're going to cram it all in. Any minute now, Macron's going to say you've all got COVID again. You need to be shut in your houses. So I'm just going to keep doing all these races until someone tells me to stop. I know it's not great to do all these races like back to back, but nothing's perfect, is it, at the moment? I kind of like.
I know with cycling, it's a friend of mine I was talking to about this actually. He said it's quite common in cycling, for example, to race yourself fit.
Yes, I'm hoping that this is what is going to happen and not doing any training for 3 weeks and just doing 3 races. I'm going to come out of it really fit or really tired, or maybe just a melange of all of them. It takes the pressure off anybody who has got young kids or kids in general and is trying to train, work, stay alive. I don't need to worry about the training because I'm actually less is more, just little bits is fine. So mentally it does put me in a better headspace than being like now going like, okay, well now I've got to go on the treadmill and do like a 90-minute session. And I did watch on my bike today, The Mother of All Comebacks with Helen Glover, and it's a documentary about her coming back to rowing when she has had 3 kids in 18 months. I think she has 3 kids, little boy, and then she has twins. And it's all about her. She gets on the rower during lockdown just to get fit, and she realizes that she can get fit again. And it's all about her journey. And she does all these bits to camera where she's absolutely exhausted and her eyes are like popping out of her head. Ooh. And if anybody who is a parent or anybody who wants to see some sort of comeback, it is amazing. It's only about 40 minutes long. So it's perfect if you're on the treadmill or on a bike or doing some sort of mundane activity. It really is inspiring. And talking of inspiring, you haven't obviously not been watching quite my heavy program of Olympic watching. No,
it's been kind of just quiet on the screen in the YHA. No, actually, I've seen a few people have won medals, obviously, but
few people. We've had the bet now. Okay, I am a total Olympic. I stayed up till 2:00 in the morning. This hasn't helped with the tiredness. I just love it, Gary. I love it. I love the whole spirit of it. I love everybody's stories. I love the underdog that wins, the people that then lose. I'm like. And then I feel, when we make a fuss about like something not working, think, oh my God, imagine like the 4 years. And so I love that the kids now are old enough and they love watching it. When it came to London, interesting, fun story this, I just had my middle child and we were living in London waiting for like our house exchange to go.
Okay.
And we had tickets to go, but I literally had just had my middle baby. Yeah. But so I was feeding the baby, so I had to take the baby, and we had tickets to go and see the hockey. I thought that'd be fine. That'd be fine, wouldn't it? Yes. So took this small. I don't know what I was thinking. This absolutely tiny baby, 10 days old or something,
wow.
To the hockey match, and of course, it's so loud.
Yeah.
And it was like late at night and we were traveling on all these trains, and I just had to feed this baby for like 6 hours because he was screaming, and it was like the Olympics.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was playing, England, so I know. It was brilliant, loved it, but it was the slight anxiety. I had this newborn, and as anyone who's done this with a newborn baby, you suddenly realize what you're doing and you're thinking, this perhaps isn't the most sensible
Isn't a great idea.
And because I'd fed the baby all through this hockey game to try and keep it quiet, we got to get onto the train to get back into London to then get home. And the baby did this projectile poo everywhere. Oh. It went everywhere, crammed into this drain.
Oh my goodness.
Nowhere to go. It was all over me. I was like, Bryn, you've got to cover me because if I like crash into anyone, they're gonna get. Oh my God. So that's my funny Olympic story. I love seeing my kids watching it and being like, oh wow, and all the different countries and all the different sports. So suddenly the taekwondo, I watched like horses with dressage to music today. I watched it. I was avid. Anyway, that's I'll try.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to catching up on it.
Get into it. It's only like a few days every, but in 3 years' time, it's Paris on my doorstep.
Whoa.
I think I could take up some sort of archery or something. Yeah, there's all these stories when people go, yeah, I just went down my club and picked up the bowling ball and suddenly I was at the Olympics.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Okay, so we thought we'd just focus on the Lakeland 50 and Lakeland 100 results this week. We'll start with the winners. Lakeland 100, new course record, 19 hours, 10 minutes by Mark Derbyshire, smoking fast.
Oh my goodness.
It's elite. That's world-class time, that is.
I wonder what the minutes per mile is for that. I should have worked that out, shouldn't I?
Well, I wonder what the gap is. You know, the gap on Strava when you can see with the elevation what that is. I wonder if he's on Strava. Let's see if we can find him. And then friend of the show, Anna Troop, 25 hours 9 minutes.
Yay.
I mean, how did she do that, Gary? And she was out all week walking with her kids the week before, and then she does that. This
amazing endurance, and we know just with chatting with her the prep she will have done. So.
Amazing. Well done, Anna. Awesome. In the 50, Runa Sato, 7 hours 41, and Emma Stewart, 9 hours 15. So some really fast, good times there. Then we promised that if people commented on our tracking post on Facebook, that I would track them and find their times. So here we go. Prepare yourself for your name to be mentioned on the podcast free of charge. Feel free to come and offer some free childcare if you're in the Morzine of Voriaz area. For the 100, Martin Webb finished 32 hours 3 minutes. David Harris sadly dropped at Kentmere. Emily Plummer finished 37 hours 49 minutes. Hem Renner finished 27 hours 48 minutes. Jodie Laird dropped sadly. Delmain 20 hours 24. Louise Isaacson, she was going for a 4th Lakeland 100, I think. She didn't finish either.
I saw Louise actually coming out on Cooley Bridge.
And Beverly Smith didn't finish, but got to Howtown in 23 hours 37. I thought I'd read them out anyway, because I think kudos in that heat. Some long times out on the fells then to put in that sort of effort. So kudos to all of you.
But you just see how tough it would be. Louise, she's done it before. I saw on social media, she's a string of 50 and 100 medals. So yeah, it was, and I can testify, I was out there just sitting on my bum taking pictures.
Yeah, you were taking pictures. Don't
roasted.
put yourself. Then we have Hannah Basley finished in 18 hours 36. We're going to grab her for an interview next week. She's still up in the Lake District, and she very kindly said she would give up her holiday to talk to us, but we don't want. We'll chat to her next week. Anthony Light, 11 hours 35. Rebecca Mann, 14 hours 22. Ashok Guring, 11 hours 48. Donna Leslie, 19 hours 49. Andy Shannon, 11 hours 46. Maxine Grimshaw, 26 hours. 20 hours. 16, that's my writing. And Chris Chadwick, 22 hours, 55 minutes. No DNFs on the 50. So, but I can imagine it was a battle over mind and body with some hot running. Well done, everybody. Love doing that. Love tracking them. Loved recognizing some of those names. So
yeah, it's great. The dog watching. Love it.
Hopefully inspired some people to enter the ballot. When is the ballot, Gary?
I think it's September. Don't quote me on that, but I'm sure somebody said it's September. I'll be straight in there. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping, I don't know for sure. I think, these things get more and more popular as the years go on, but I think the 50 is the one that's very, very popular as far as entries are concerned.
Do you have to have a proof of life? The 100? Do you have to have done something?
Yeah, there is actually. You have to have done, I think it's a 50 miler in a certain time with like a trail 50 miler. So hopefully St. Cuthbert's Way, it's the 100K, and the Bob Graham round. Fingers crossed. And I've done the 100 before. It's not like I haven't. I think.
No, I just wondered if there was one you had to have, like, I know with some races, don't you? You have to.
I don't think there's a list. You have to have done a certain race. It's just a certain type of elevation over distance in a certain time. But I think ultimately it's basically to prove that you haven't just kind of let yourself go to you kind of deconditioned, I suppose. You've still done something relevant within a certain amount of time.
Has Gary let himself go? Please tick the box. Yes or no? Talking of letting yourself go, are you going to let yourself go a little? Or you've got one more.
Yeah. I've got to get up. It's like 5:30 in the morning. I've got to set off I'm so off it now. What's the
what leg are you doing, my love?
I can't remember the Threlkeld, sorry. I'm sort of
straight up. Oh, it's straight up.
You know what's good? I'm just doing a few little bits on the Lakeland 100 route. They're not as big, the climbs, which is quite nice.
No.
Yeah.
I look back at the Lakeland now and I'm like, that amount of vert, I covered that the weekend before of the Lakeland 50 over 40K, where to me that's like, it didn't feel actually that much of it, but it's much easier to get vert in the Alps because they're just big, long climbs. You don't get so much of the undulation. Anyway, we're rambling. Let's get on to our interview.
This week, we catch up with Ross Jenkin. He recently completed his Big Four, which was fantastic to catch up with Ross. As always, Eddie, I love chatting with our guests, and I hope our listeners enjoy the interview.
would like to welcome Ross to Run to the Hills this week. Ross Jenkin is thought, he might be able to tell me better, to be the first person to complete a continuous traverse of all 4 of the UK's classic 24-hour mountain challenges. 3 of which you'll know, and 1 which I didn't know, but now I do know. The Paddy Buckley, Denis Rankin, Charlie Ramsey, and Bob Graham rounds. Hello, Ross. How are you? Where are you? And have you been for a run today?
Hi, I am at home in T-Bay. It's a little village on the edge of the Lake District, kind of nestled between the lakes and the Yorkshire Dales. So it's quite a nice location for running. I haven't been today. It's an early start yet, so I'm having a day off after a 17.5k run yesterday, which my first significant run since the Big 4.
How did that feel?
Slow. It was very, very slow compared to what I was doing beforehand, but it was still it was really nice to get out, and it was good to be in the mountains as well with an old friend who's also been off running for quite a long time. So it was really good to be out, having a dip in a pool in the river as well, which is lovely.
These recovery runs after massive challenges, you have to pick your training partner quite wisely, don't you? Because you don't want to train with somebody who's all fire, all guns blazing. You want to be with somebody who's in the same mindset as you.
Oh, absolutely. Josh, unfortunately, was injured for until just recently. So he's had no running at all for about 9 months. And previously, we ran together at quite a good pace. But he's at just that right point now where he's getting back into it. And we were the perfect pace for each other yesterday.
Stick with Josh for the next few weeks.
Yeah. He'll be quick again soon.
Yeah, you've only probably got him for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, before we get into the nitty gritty about the challenge, which I can't wait to ask you lots of questions about, can you tell us a little bit about your running background? I know you've got a climbing background as well. Before the challenge, how you sort of found yourself as a runner?
Yeah, sure. Well, like you say, I was a climber first, all through university, and through my sort of youth, I was climbing a lot. But after a couple of fairly significant falls, I kind of fell out of love with climbing a little bit. I mean, I love it still, but the fear was there. And then when family comes along and things like that, it just makes it more complicated to go climbing. You need to have a partner, you need to arrange time, you need to have all that kit, and it's just such a pain, to be honest. Whereas running, you just put your shoes on and go. But I moved to Spain with my wife for a few years, and while I was there, I got into adventure racing in a big way and did a lot of adventure racing over there. I still have my team over there who I occasionally race with. And it was only when I came back to the UK about 7 years ago, thereabouts, that I got into the fell running and road running properly as an independent sport on its own, rather than as part of the adventure racing. And initially it was just a few races, the short sort of 5-10k type fell races, and it was just for fun, and I was only ever mid to top half of the table, so just for fun really for the first few years of it.
Where did the idea of this challenge come from?
About 3.5-4 years ago, someone from my running club, Simon Mountsie, was planning his own Bob Graham round, and I was just in the process of trying to do a marathon, do the London Marathon, and he was helping me with a bit of the training for that. He and I spent a lot of time out in the hills together, training for his Bob. And when it came to the Bob in 2018, I went and did leg 2 with him, and then also did leg 5 as well. And that was kind of like pretty much the biggest running I had done at that point. 2 legs of a Bob within 24 hours was quite significant. And absolutely loved it. And before that, I'd never really considered Bob Graham as something that I would be capable of. It was just a nice thing in the distance that maybe one day, 10 years, who knows, I might have a go at it. But Simon was saying afterwards that he wished he had done the Paddy Buckley and the Charlie Ramsey at around the same time in the same sort of training block.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense, rather than having to train 3 years on the run or whatever, just do it all in one go. And over the course of a year, I thought, well, since I've lived in Northern Ireland, I thought, well, there must be something in Northern Ireland that's similar as well. And then it's 4 home nations.
Yeah.
Looked into it and found out about the Denis Rankin round. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there's 4 of them in each, one in each home nation, all similar sort of ideas.
Yeah.
All 4 of those in a year. Yeah, that should be achievable.
When did the year become all 4 in a week?
Yeah, that started as just a silly little conversation. These things happen, don't it? When you're having a conversation with your mates or family. Yeah, and go, I wonder if anyone's ever done it in non-stop, back to back. And I looked into it, and it seemed that pretty much no one had done all 4 of the rounds at all, let alone in a year, let alone in a week. But then I've obviously found out about Mike Hartley, who did the 3 big UK rounds in back to back. And so, okay, Mike Hartley, great athlete, phenomenal, bit of a legend, really.
Yeah.
So, well, I doubt I can do it, because I'm nothing compared to someone like that. And then John Kelly had his first attempt at the Grand Round, with cycling in between. And John Kelly has always been a bit of a running hero of mine. When he failed on his first attempt, I felt like I haven't got much of a chance. But it just wouldn't stop niggling away, doing all 4 in a week. It was just there in the background constantly, and
those are the best ones that don't go away. The idea wouldn't go. So I decided, right, well, that's it. I've got to announce it. I've got to do it. And then once I started telling people, and I had no choice, really. Just before I hand over to Gary to go into a few more questions, can you just give our listeners some ideas of the numbers involved in these rounds? Because you talk very as if they're sort of like a small hillock.
Yeah, well, most people know about the Bob Graham being, I think it's 42 peaks, around 100k, and around 8,200 meters of height gain. And the idea is to try and do it in 24 hours. For most runners, I know Gary did it recently. I listened to his account of it recently. Most runners, the Bob Graham is a significant challenge to do within that 24 hours. The Paddy Buckley is a very similar round. It's more, there's more nav needed, because it's not as many people have done it. So it's not as many trods and things, but it's very similar in statistics. I think 30-something peaks. I can't remember exactly how many, but 30-something. And around 105 kilometers and about 8,500 meters of height gain. And the Charlie Ramsey is the serious big brother with only about 24 peaks, but similar height gains. So you're talking big ascents.
Wow.
And about 90 kilometers. So 1995, something like that. And then the Denis Rankin is the easy one. The non-Irish listeners will not thank me for saying that, but
the leg 5 of the round.
Yeah, it's only about 89, 90 kilometers, and it's only 6,500 meters of height gain. It's got about 39 peaks, I think, but some of them are quite small. But it's still got its challenges. It's still hard, but it's just not as hard as the others.
And what order did you do them in, Ross?
I started on the Paddy Buckley, then went across to Northern Ireland to do the Rankin, then over to Scotland for the Charlie Ramsey, and back to England for the Bob Graham, basically because I wanted to finish in my home territory where family and friends could be there. I mean, my parents are there, and they're quite elderly. They'll be unlikely to travel anywhere up to Scotland or something like that. So I needed to finish at home for that reason.
I'd like to go back, actually. You mentioned Mike Hartley. I think it's brilliant that people are attempting and breaking his records, and it's probably exposing that name to a whole new generation of runners who never heard of this guy who's such a phenomenal runner, but it's taken people to actually attempt and break his records for a whole new generation of people to know who this guy is. It's brilliant. So
absolutely. I mean, with Damo Hall just beaten his coast to coast record recently, and only by 18 minutes 30 years later. It's phenomenal when you think about Damo Hall as that sort of athlete, and he can only beat it by that time. So it proves Mike Hartley was way ahead of his time.
Oh my goodness me, yeah. If we go back to the Big Four, you raised quite a lot of money and are still raising money for Calm charity campaign against living miserably.
That's right.
Yeah, why that charity? And also, can people still donate?
Yeah, Campaign Against Living Miserably is a charity that originally was set up to help suicidal men, and they have developed on to help whoever asks of them now, basically. The fact that they sort of focused on getting men to talk and men with mental health problems, it really resonated with me. I've suffered with depression for a while, and I don't have particularly serious depression, but all depression is serious to the person having it. And it's that speaking about it that's really important to me. As a man, we generally find it harder to talk about our feelings in general. And we've been told all our lives to man up and don't cry and don't be a wimp, all those sorts of things. That is really, really damaging. And it has caused an awful lot of suicide in men, that men just generally don't talk. And all it takes is a conversation. And it's not easy, don't get me wrong. It has been really, really tough. And even now, saying to you, basically a stranger that unknown is going to be published, that I have depression, is not the easiest thing. But I think it's important. I think I have to do that to encourage others to do it. And since Calm are sort of on the same wavelength with that was a really important charity for me to get involved with. I mean, the fundraising that I've been doing has been a third towards Calm, a third to Dogs Trust. Partly that's basically it. I love dogs, and they do a lot of good work rescuing abandoned dogs. And a third to Mountain Rescue. Again, they are doing a lot of good work, and if I ever need them, I'd like them to be well funded. So it's an important, three very important charities for me. And you can still donate. I've got my Virgin Money giving page, and the easiest way is just go onto Virgin Money Giving and search for Ross Jenkin. You'll find it easily that way.
Yeah, we'll pop a link to that in the show notes, Eddie, so people can still share. Yeah, I'd like to thank you, actually. My little rescue dog Rex, he came from Dogs Trust, so people who support. He's been you know what? I didn't want a dog. I think I've expressed that a few times, but since he came into my life, my goodness me, it's been a little ray of barking sunshine.
They're just fantastic, and they're actually really amazing for mental health as well. Our dog Luna died just before Christmas at the age of 16 and a half, and had a very good life. She was a collie lab cross, and she was just absolutely fantastic. She had some real adventures with us. She had some hard times as well. She once fell from Sharp Edge on Blencathra. Fell nearly 200 foot, and we had to carry her down. I thought she was dead, but
my goodness me,
did survive it with nothing more than cuts and bruises, actually, somehow. But she used to run with me a lot until the age of about 12, 13, thereabouts. And then she was just too old. So she'd go out for walks, but that was it. we're on the lookout for another dog now, so hopefully we can find something. We want to rescue one as well, something that's going to suit our lifestyle with running and what have you.
Yeah, it's quite a pot. Look, actually, we got lucky with Rex. He will run all day. He's a collie kind of staff cross.
Oh, so, perfect.
Oh my goodness me. Yeah. He definitely, if we say a bike or a runner, his collie comes out with him because he just wants to, he goes crazy.
Collie stappies are lovely dogs as well. They're great.
Yeah, it's funny. Going a bit of a dog chat again, Eddie. he barks quite a lot, and some people could think he's quite aggressive. But my goodness me, there's just not an aggressive bone in his body. But I'm one of those kind of dog owners now, going, "Oh, no, he won't bite. He won't bite." But he really wouldn't bite. But he's been brilliant. So thanks for raising awareness and money for doctors, and also Mountain Rescue. Eddie. I know she's in France. I'm in England. I'm back over the lakes at the weekend doing a leg 2 and 3 Bob Graham round support crew. Yeah. And it's great to know that these people are out there willing to kind of risk themselves, and that people like yourself are raising money for them. So personally, a big thanks for that. My goodness me, training for the event. I know with the Bob Graham round, I live in the Northeast. I was traveling to the lakes every weekend. How do you train and prepare for the big 4?
A lot. Well, I'm a police officer, so I work shifts, and that's a real benefit when you've got a family and you work shifts. It means that I can go out during the day when my daughter's at school and my wife's at work. I can go out for a long run during the day and not really affect the family because I'm working that evening or whatever. So I have trained a lot for the past 3 years nearly while I've been working towards this. It shouldn't have been so long, but I had a first attempt back in August last year. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been where I live is right beside the Howgills. For anyone who doesn't know, the Howgills are the mountains on the right-hand side when you go north on the M6.
The most exciting part of the M6.
I love it.
Just before T-Bay services.
Yes, well, that's it. I live just across the road from the truck stop at T-Bay services. So
probably drove past your house on Saturday.
Yeah, you would have done. Yeah. It's the Howgills are fantastic for training because literally from my door it's a 5-minute jog and I'm through the fell gate. And during COVID periods, it was I was lucky enough to have that and not having to touch a single gate or a single stile. There's one cattle grid which I walk across, and then that's me. I'm in the fells and I'm there. I could go out for 5, 6, 7 hours and not see a soul. Yeah. In the Howgills. That's the beauty of my side. The opposite side over at Sedbergh is a lot busier, but on my side there's just no one here.
But don't talk about it, Ross. Everyone will turn up.
Well, yeah, I think it's just a little less exciting. There's no sort of particularly significant big peaks on my side, but it's a really good location for getting out into the wilds. That's where I went yesterday for my run, and it's a lot of steep ups and downs. If you want to get high and stay high and go along the ridges, you don't have to have those big climbs so much, or you can go across the ridges and go steep down on the grassy banks, straight back up the other side. So you've got everything you need there. Yeah. And this time around for the training, I also took part in a virtual competition called the ISO Run Club Vert Plus.
Oh, great.
Which was absolutely class competition, actually. The idea was, instead of distance, they were looking at height gain. So each week is a 10-week competition, and each week there was a weekly winner, and then the stats were put onto the overall leaderboard. Yeah. So you had to climb as much height gain as you could in the week, but your average pace over the week had to be less than 7.5 minutes per kilometre or 12 minutes per mile.
Ooh.
So it was quite punchy.
Yeah, you can't hang around.
No, it's not.
I couldn't do that round here. I'd be.
She's got some serious inclines.
Yeah, it was tough. Like, it was really, really tough. and the average sort of winning height gain over each week was about 8,000 meters, thereabouts. And you couldn't walk; you had to run. Just you couldn't get it. I did reasonably well in that competition. I won 2 of the first 9 weeks. One of those was about 13,000 meters, and the other one about 7,000. And then the final week, the organisers put in an added thing of, if you can do a double Everest in the week, there's a cash prize.
Oh, right.
Yes.
That would motivate people.
Oh, yeah, totally. It motivated me. I went for it and got my double Everest. That was about 5 or 6 weeks before the Big Four. So that was a real test piece for me.
Yeah.
That if I could do that, I knew that I'd be okay for the Big Four. Cool. And yeah, I got the 17,500 meters in the week, and won the competition, which was amazing.
You don't have to disclose figures, but was the cash prize, was it worth it? Was it good?
Oh, it's 250 quid, so it's well worth it. Yeah. Definitely worth it.
Hey, you can buy with that. The PG tips, you can buy with that. How were your knees? How were your knees at the end of that?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah, it was just a good steady week. I mean, keeping the pace up keeps everything a bit more supple. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was hard work, but I really enjoyed it.
That sounds fantastic. Going back to the Big Four, I know with Bob Graham round, people have different opinions, but Barrow seems to be a significant climb on the Bob Graham round. When you've got up there, if you get up there, you feel like you've kind of hit a kind of, I can do this now. With the other 3 rounds, is there a similar moment in those that you remember?
Well, on the Paddy, it was a hot day. It was a very, very hot day. It was about 28 degrees, and I was suffering a lot in the first sort of 3 legs, pretty much. Actually, my paces in the first 2 legs were the same people, the same 2 guys carried on through, and they were obviously carrying my kit. It was my first round. They weren't suffering, and I was. I was thinking, how the hell am I going to get through 4 rounds when I can't even do 2 legs of the first round? It was just the heat, though. It was absolutely brutal. So by the time, once I got to the 3rd leg, that's the Snowdon leg, the first half of that, it was still hot, really, really hot. Yeah. And I dropped quite a lot of time. But once I got towards Morillo, which is the last summit on that leg, the cramps had stopped. The energy had come back because the sun had gone down a wee bit, and I suddenly was able to run again, and that was a big boost. So I managed to keep on going. I ran straight down into Llanberis, and I knew that if I could keep this pace up, then I'd still be able to make it through. Not within 24 hours, but I had a time schedule for the ferry to get across the Northern Ireland.
Brilliant.
So I knew that if I had up to 26 hours. If I did more, if I was over 26 hours, I would miss the ferry. Yeah. So it wasn't an option. Just simply wasn't an option.
Oh my goodness.
Talk about putting extra stress in the situation. But leg 4, which was the Glidders and Tryfan, the finding the summits of Glyderfach and Glyder is really, really difficult in Purvis or in the dark. We faffed around on that terrain for about half an hour, and just made it very difficult to try and meet that target. When we were on the way down Tryfan, I was already thinking, well, I'm going to have to can it here because I haven't got time to make it. Okay. But once I got into the checkpoint, the next leg pacer, a guy called Warren, known as Wazza, he helps on a lot of paddies. He's a great guy. He basically said, I think I can get you round in time. But if not, there's 2 escape points, so you'll just miss the last peak or the last 2 peaks.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll do that. We'll go for it. And my scheduled time for a 23.5-hour round was 4 hours 40.
Okay.
He said I should be able to get you around in about 3:45, and smashed it in 3:30. I was absolutely flying.
You got it home.
He certainly did. He was a legend, absolute legend. I got back to the van and I was in bits, but I think I'm not going to be able to get around the next ones anyway because I'm so ruined. But it actually gave me the opportunity. Last year when I attempted it, the first round had to be called off because of weather halfway round, and that was a real mental down point. It was I was not in a good way after that. So I didn't want to have that same situation again this year. So on the Paddy, that moment when I knew that I could do it was once I reached the final summit. The first summit of the final leg.
Okay.
It's like, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to push through. I'm going to get there and finish that round. In Northern Ireland, there was never really a doubt. The first 2 legs were a bit of jogging, but then the last 3 legs it was walking the whole time in order to maintain and save the energy and reduce the chance of any injury. It was really Northern Ireland that I got injured on last year.
Okay.
That caused a whole world of pain, tendonitis. So I was very, very conscious to take it very, very easy in Northern Ireland. And because I knew it was easier and shorter, I knew that as long as I did the first leg in a good time, then I could pretty much walk it in and get sub 24. As it happened, I got 23:02, so that was perfectly acceptable. And it actually had an hour to spare. I could have gone slower.
It's funny how those memories from a previous attempt kind of manifest again on the current attempt. I know on my Buckley round, the first time I tried it, I had real quad issues in the inside of my legs, and then on the 100 milers I had groin issues, and I've had quad issues in the past, and I was just constantly waiting for them to happen again. But luckily this time round they didn't. I'm very curious actually on the Bob Graham round, your route up to Scarfell. That's always, I love asking people that question.
An interesting thing, you've mentioned going up Newbarrow and up to Scarfell. We actually did it the other way around. Oh my goodness, yeah. So it meant that we didn't have that Newbarrow climb.
Yeah.
We had I had the climb up Seat Sandal later, which is quite a climb.
That's horrible.
yeah, it's steep, but it meant that I actually had a mate on the top of Scarfell who had set up a rope, to hold on to, not to cheat, so to speak, but because I knew I was tired and a slip would have been fatal. So went straight down Broadstand for the quickest and most energy efficient descent. With a harness and a top rope belaying down just to make sure that I wasn't going to die. I think my wife wouldn't have been too happy if I'd have fallen and died at that point.
No. I've had a few conversations. I've had a few conversations with Neil about, maybe we're doing anti-clockwise. And I've always thought on that, coming out of Wasdale, that whole section in reverse, I'm kind of struggling to get my head round.
We actually climbed the wrong way up Scarfell. It was dark still, and because my paces hadn't done it anti-clockwise, and I had it on my watch, but I wasn't really paying attention to my watch too much of that. Too deep in conversation, actually. We ended up going straight up Screes, which was hard work.
Wow.
We should have gone, as you're looking up at Scarfell, around to the right further and up the grassy ridge. and that's quite an easy climb up then. But yeah, a little mistake, didn't really matter. It's probably quicker going up the screes, just harder work.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. How did your body hold up? Your feet? You must have had some pretty horrendous blisters over the 4 rounds.
Yeah, well, one of the problems with Northern Ireland is it's granite, and there's the very coarse granite grit everywhere. And I should have known this. I did know this, but I didn't think about it. So I should have had little gaiters on the shoes.
Yeah.
And didn't. And as a result, I ended up with grit in my shoes and not removing it as you should.
Ross, what are you like?
I know, completely ridiculous. It's a rookie mistake. But I got some really, really bad blisters on the sides of my heels and my little toes. So that then slowed me down for the rest of the last 2 rounds, because it was just so bloody sore. Absolutely excruciating. The little toes.
They're the devil's work, those little toes. Once they get blistered,
they're horrible. And it was the
pain that comes from them is inordinate for their uselessness.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely ridiculous. And on my left little toe, I think I've actually caused a little bit of nerve damage, because it's still painful, so deep.
Yeah.
It was, a normal blister. This is pretty minging, but sorry.
We love it.
Yeah, poo and blisters. We can talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. A normal blister, you can see the white underneath, normal skin underneath.
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't have that. It was blood underneath. It was not a blood blister, but it was like flesh.
Straight to the core.
Straight to the core. Yeah, it was deep. No, not good. Not good at all. When it's the whole oh.
Should be our Instagram competition, Eddie. Blister.
No. And then the healing process of that is just when the skin sort of like either just peels off.
Well, this is the question. Do you leave it or do you pop it?
Oh, pop it every time.
Pop it.
I'm a popper.
Yeah.
Definitely a popper. I think it's better for me to pop and pad.
Yeah, pop and pad.
Yeah.
PC Ross says pop and pad.
Yeah.
Top tip.
Yeah. I was using Compeed on the heels, but it doesn't really work on the toe. So it was literally just a little bit of padding and tape it to death, and hope that was going to be okay. And every time it got wet again, oh, the pain.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I'm so with you. Let's move on. Can you talk a little bit, how did you plan the logistics of this? Because you're not just going,
it'll be hard.
you're not just, how did you plan the travel? And then what did you do? Like for instance, on the ferry, did you sort of lie naked on one of those?
Who's this scummy guy with his terrible feet?
Yeah. Well, the logistics were an absolute nightmare. It really, really is difficult, even just on the basic level of trying to plan your schedules and then looking at the ferries and going, oh, well, that ferry goes from here to there, which gives me this much travel time and that much travel time on the other end.
Yeah.
And that means I need to start this at this time. Oh, but I want to actually finish the whole thing around this time. So, it's a nightmare. My 4 key points was it had to be within 7 days. I wanted to finish, this part didn't really happen, but I wanted to finish during the day on the Saturday in Keswick, so that best chance of having friends and family around.
Yeah.
And also then the ferries where they had to be. So, and I wanted to have enough slack in the system that if I go over on the later rounds by a lot of hours, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And the only thing affected would be the ultimate finish time. And so it was a case of sitting in front of the computer with a notepad and pencil and planning it out meticulously. And so that was just the timings. And then it's the case of planning who's going to be where and everything else. I mean, I had around 50 different volunteers who are helping from across the 4 different countries.
Oh my goodness.
And then, of course,
are they all on one WhatsApp group?
Yes.
Your phone would be pinging all the time.
I'd have left that. Yeah. Sorry, I'd have left that within.
Well, a few people did. You know, some people who I'd asked said that they might be able to help, but they're not sure. They just left because they couldn't be dealing with the constant pinging. But that's okay. That's okay. There was enough people who were keen. But then there's the added complication of COVID and travel. Am I allowed to travel to Northern Ireland or to Scotland or to Wales?
Oh my goodness,
It was quite stressful, and even at the very last minute, it was the case. I mean, I didn't book the ferries until about 3 weeks before.
Yeah,
because I didn't know whether I was going to be allowed to travel.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I could, although I had to change my ferry plan because I was intending to go to Dublin from Holyhead.
Right.
And I couldn't, because if I went to Dublin, that's Republic, and I'd have to isolate 10 days. Yet I had at least 3 people who are helping me in Northern Ireland from the Republic who don't have to isolate.
Oh my Lord.
How ridiculous.
I can't keep up, honestly.
So yeah, the logistics was an absolute nightmare. But it's part of the I'd say it's about 20% of the difficulties of the entire challenge is the planning and the logistics and getting the kit and all that sort of thing. It was quite stressful at times.
Yeah, let's go a bit deeper into the kit. We love a bit of kit chat. What did you wear? What worked? What didn't work?
Well, I've been lucky enough that there's been a few brands that have supported me. First and foremost, this is one for Gary more than for you, Eddie. Boxer shorts, slacks, underwear, absolutely amazing. They are the best underwear that you'll find anywhere.
I'm a bit of a Y-front guy, though. What did they do?
They do one brief. I haven't tried the brief, but their boxes are amazing. They have something called the ballpark pouch, and it works. It works just like.
All right. Eddie is dying right now.
I'll check them out.
It's all right. It's all right, Ross, because we had Anna Troop who won the Spine the couple of days ago, and we went deep into chaffing talk and chamois cream. So, Gary, you can get your own back. What was that brand called again, Ross?
Sax, S-A-X-X.
Sax.
Okay, we'll put a note. We'll put a link.
Then I've used all through training, pretty much all the time. I use Injinji toe socks.
I was going to ask, and you still got those blisters.
Yeah, it was the grit. It was definitely the grit.
Once that's in, there's nothing you can do, is it? Not
absolutely. Once my feet were very swollen and the blisters were there, and wet, then I stopped using the Injinjis because I couldn't fit them on my feet. So then, because of all the extra bandages and things like that, and I went to just normal Denifit normal socks. The other big brand that's really helped me is Denifit. They provided pretty much all my clothes and all my shoes. And I feel extremely lucky because the kit is actually really good.
It's proper mountain kit. I was well gel when I saw that they sponsored you. I was like, I'm going to get in there with Ross and the Denis. But it's proper made for mountains and for people doing sport in the mountains. Absolutely. And made to last. And little bits about it are like, that's someone's clever has made that knows that that's just what a runner or a climber or a skier needs.
Yeah, I mean they are. It's Italian based. It's Austria and Italy. That sort of part of the Alps. So they are. They struggle with the idea of fell running because they don't do fell running. They do trail running. You're in the Alps, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it's all trails. So it's designed for all of that. However, I have found that it transfers to fell really well. The Denifit Alpine trainer is the one that I use for virtually everything, and the grip is perfectly enough. I mean, if it's really, really muddy in the Peak District or something like that, then you might struggle.
What about sort of clothing? Because you weren't moving that fast.
No, it wasn't moving super fast. I mean, I went from at the beginning of the week on the Paddy, I was using very lightweight alpine shorts. They're my favourite shorts for the hot weather. They are so lightweight, so comfortable. Absolutely love them. They are, again, dinner fit ones. And throughout the week, tops wise, it's just been something like what I'm wearing now, this lightweight synthetic running t-shirts. As the week went on, I was in shorts in Northern Ireland as well. Same shorts, I think, because there's love them. Maria and my wife washed them in between. So don't worry. And then in Scotland, I went to leggings. The forecast was -3 on the tops overnight. So definitely didn't want to be in shorts when I'm moving fairly slowly and tired. Went for the leggings. Again, just a standard running legging from Denis. When I went over to the Bob, I used something called the Transalpa Hybrid Pant, which is
trips off the tongue. That.
Oh yeah, it's something that they a lot of people over here don't really seem to get this style. They look like a loose casual trouser, but they're actually super stretchy, and they are designed for moving fast in the mountains. And in the slightly cooler weather, I absolutely love them. And I felt I needed to keep my legs, my quads warm, and not needed to worry about if it gets cold type of scenario. And when I'm constantly flopping down on the ground in agony and want to get
being
my way
dramatic. They're excellent for being dramatic.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really have to worry too much about waterproofs and things. It just didn't happen. There wasn't. I think we had a tiny bit of rain on the Ramsey and a tiny bit on the Bob, but not really.
You were lucky, eh? You were sick.
Yeah.
God was shining down on it. What about last question from me? What about food and drink?
Yeah, I had it all organised that for each round I had a bag of what I needed for each leg, or what I might need for each leg. Because I always find you think, I'm going to eat this, this, and this, and then you get halfway around, you don't want any of that, so you need to have other things as well. So in each bag, I had Voom bars, which are. Do you know about Voom?
No.
No, Voom are a Lake District. Well, I think they're Lancashire actually company, and they are an alternative to gels and things. They have the. I just call them by the colours. The green bar, which is your electrolytes, and half a bar is equivalent to a gel. Kind of that texture of Kinder Mint Cake. I know you're a fan of Kinder Mint Cake.
Oh, yes.
Love it.
Yeah. And then there's the orange bar, which has got a bit of caffeine, a bit of beta-alanine, which is good for the DOMs. And the purple bar, loads of caffeine.
Yeah.
And the black one is like a protein fudge. So
I thought you were going to say the Doom bar. The black one was for if everything's going wrong, just eat the black one.
And do they have like the minerals in your electrolytes and stuff like that?
Yeah, the green ones, particularly electrolytes. Yeah. So I would have a selection of those in the bag. I'd have a bit of Kinder Mint Cake, a bit of what's it called? Saurine malt loaf.
Sounds like my drop bag, this.
Yeah, it's great. What else? A packet of crisps for some salt. Mini pork pie. You wouldn't believe the calories in a mini pork pie. It's superb. And by the end of the week, I'd found the sandwich / wrap to have.
All right.
At the start of the week, I had cheese and ham, I had cheese and marmite, and all things that I love, but I couldn't eat them. I was struggling to eat them. my wife said, "Oh, why don't you try an omelette?" I'm like, "I can't take an omelette. That's ridiculous. What are we going to do? Take a pan and cook it up later?" It's no. But she meant take an omelette in a wrap.
In a wrap.
So butter a wrap, omelette, some ham, roll it up, cut it in half,
boom,
and it goes down a treat.
Ooh, I could have that now.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's really easy to eat.
I think the bread, I made a mistake. The bread to content was wrong. So I had so much bread going up to Clough Head. I just couldn't eat this bloody sandwich I thought I was going to really enjoy. It turned out to be a nightmare.
But that's the problem I was having with the bread and cheese. It just wasn't going down. I just couldn't swallow it. I ended up at one stage, I was taking tiny bites of a cheese and Marmite sandwich, washing it down with electrolyte drink.
Yeah.
And it was just disgusting.
What was fantastic, we had a chat with Anna earlier in the week, and my goodness me, they did some prep for the summer spine. They'd cook food, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie, but then they'd basically see how quick certain foods degraded, so then they'd know when to eat certain things in their various drop bags.
Wow.
That was pretty hardcore prep.
Very hardcore.
But they didn't have an omelette in a wrap. They did not.
No. No, they were great. The omelettes in the wrap, I looked forward to it on every leg. It's like, I'm going to have that when I'm feeling crap.
Yeah. Oh, that does sound good.
And then at each transition, I had a selection of ambrosia rice, baked beans, pot noodles, or like a pasta soup. Those are my choices. I'd usually get someone to text ahead to say, "Can you make this? Can you heat this up?"
Yeah.
Eat those baked beans incoming.
Ambrosia rice is brilliant. I love ambrosia rice.
I could eat that. I quite often have that as a little pudding.
Yeah.
I get those little pots.
Yeah. They're perfect.
How is the recovery going now, Ross? Because I can imagine the down after such an epic, not only the challenge, but also the planning, the mental focus needed for that. The sort of weeks after, as the body falls apart as well.
Yeah, well, like muscle-wise, I didn't really feel I needed much recovery because I wasn't moving fast. So I didn't have the muscle damage that I might have done had I done just a bob in 20 hours.
Yeah.
I obviously had the blisters, and for the first few days, I couldn't walk very much. I spent the time on the sofa, and Maria was waiting on me hand and foot, which was lovely. I don't get that very often.
No.
But yeah, every time I stood up, it was like, ow, ow, ow.
Yeah. I'd be milking that though, Ross. I'd be still doing that now.
Yeah, well, I can't get away with it now. She's not letting me off with that. But I was using Climb On cream on my blisters actually, and that seemed to really help to soften the skin back up again. But I did need to go on antibiotics because it was
so deep.
infected.
Oh.
Yeah, and also using an antibiotic cream on the worst ones to get rid of the infection. And there was some pretty nasty infections. My big toe on my left foot. The toenail needed to come off. Yeah, it was completely detached underneath the nail, but it was still on. So yeah, I had to remove that. That got taken off on day 2 afterwards. But so physically, it was really just the recovery of the blisters and just general exhaustion, tiredness. Just sleeping a lot.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the sofa watching telly, and then I'd wake up and realise I'd only watched the first 5 minutes of the episode of what I was watching.
Yeah.
I do that normally.
And he's always napping. Just had a nap, Gary.
But yeah, that was quite. The physical side of it was just that, but there was also the fact that the whole thing was a bit surreal. And I was getting phone calls from journalists.
Paddy badgering you.
Yeah. It was very, very odd. I've had calls from Ultra Runner magazine and the local newspapers and the local radio on BBC and stuff. And it's just been a bit strange. I never thought beforehand, well, when you're going for something like this, you know it's a big deal. You know no one's done it before, so people will be interested. But at the same time, I've never done anything that anyone's been particularly interested in before. So I've never experienced it, and I've never thought about it in that way. And when suddenly people genuinely are interested, and people may have made comments about that my name would be said in the same sentence as someone like John Kelly, I'm like, no, that's crazy. No, I'm nothing compared to someone like that. And it's a very, very, very surreal experience. And the whole of the first week was that non-stop. So I haven't really had the mental dip until the next couple of days, really, where actually starting to consider what's going on. I mean, I had nightmares virtually every night, and waking up in a sweat. Not bad nightmares, but bad enough that it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
And I know that's normal, and it's part of the process of recovery, mental recovery. So I've processed that. I've also I've been for a float in a flotation tank, sensory deprivation flotation tank, which is a very weird experience.
I've heard about these. Yeah,
absolutely brilliant, superb. You like, you can't hold a thought, so you're worrying about something, and suddenly that thought's gone, and you try and remember what you were thinking about, and you can't remember.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and that just sounds like my every day.
Yeah, but it's quite an experience. I would definitely recommend it, particularly for anyone who has mental health issues.
Yeah,
really, really good to
switch off.
Yeah, complete switch
get back
off
into that relaxation that it's kind of we fight for when we're recovering, and we can't because the body is still wired, isn't it?
Yeah, and the twitchy legs and all that sort of thing. Yeah, no, I would say it's a really good way to recover. And part of my recovery has actually been day before yesterday and yesterday having my first runs. Know that I'm not completely broken. I'm feeling pretty decent at the moment, I have to say.
Good.
Have you got anything planned for the rest of this year?
I'm doing, a friend of mine who helped me on the Charlie Ramsey, he's going to do his Bob Graham in 3 weeks' time. I'm going to start with him and see how far I can go.
Leg one's a tough one. Oh my goodness, Ross.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to keep going and actually complete a Bob in a decent time. But I think in a way I'm probably in the right fitness for that. And 3 weeks I should be recovered enough to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm just tagging along with him, so I'm not sort of getting a full team. I'll be carrying my own kit and not worrying, not letting my attempt spoil his, because he's been working towards it for quite a long time. So, have
you registered your attempt, or is it official?
I haven't registered yet. I'll email through and just let them know that I'm going for it. But so that's in a few weeks. Everything else I have planned for the year, it's very COVID dependent. I'm meant to be going to Austria to do the Transalpine in September, which I don't think is going to happen. I think the race will happen, but I won't be able to get there because Austria is completely shut out for anyone that I can't get there. So I doubt I'll be able to go to that, but if it opens up, then I'll be there. There's a small possibility I was going to do the World Series adventure race in Spain with my Spanish team. But again, travel-wise, I doubt it's going to happen. So other than that, I haven't really got a lot planned. I've got a couple of little ideas for the next year, which I'm not going to talk about yet.
Let them fester a bit.
Hey, we've got good luck though. We've got good form on this show. So if you ever want to come back on and we've got a few records, haven't we? We do well, quite so
yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing I would like to possibly do this winter, is a midwinter bob, solo self-supported midwinter bob. So on Midwinter's Day, no matter what the weather, sort of thing, have a go at that.
And would you just cash your bits and bobs at the certain, the crossing points, or
no? It'd just be, because it's self-supported. You just carry everything.
Oh my goodness!
So it'd just be enough water for the round.
I suppose in the winter,
there'll be loads of water unless it's all frozen. So I have to play that bit by ear. But then taking spikes and an axe, because it probably at that time of year probably need it. So it'd be a fairly heavy bag, but to try and do it sub 24.
And because you've already done it, I don't know the rules on this exactly, but because you've already done it, you don't technically need a witness then for the summits, is that?
Well, my attempt this time round doesn't count because it's 33 hours. So it doesn't, I'm not a member of the club yet.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I want to try and go with my mate in a few weeks' time, is to be part of the club. But yeah, after that, I believe that you're right. That then you don't need to have the witnesses the same way.
Well, good luck with your round. I might see you at the dinner if you're successful.
Yeah,
I can't wait. If that even goes ahead, I think it's going to, though. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think it will by then. Yeah, yeah.
I've got my quick questions, Eddie. You ready?
I'm ready, Gary. I can't wait.
5 quick questions. These are pretty. They're not deep, are they? I keep saying they're deep, but they're not.
Okay.
They're ridiculous.
I'll ask them quick. You could take as long as you want. Do you have a favourite round?
I would say Charlie Ramsey. The scenery is just absolutely out of this world, outstanding. Yeah. It's amazing.
Anybody famous or remotely famous in your phone book?
Well, John Kelly is in there actually. Yeah, I helped him on his Pennine Way for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a message to congratulate me, so that was really nice. But other than that, not directly, no.
Excuse me. Any future tattoos planned?
Not decided on yet, but I do want to get something to commemorate this big fall. When I sort of announced to the world that I had mental health issues and everything, I got this tattoo on my arm.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is kind of like showing the mountains running through me, and it gives me strength just to look at that, and it's on the inside of my arm, so I can see it easily. Whenever I'm having a bad time, I can just remember. That,
You're out for a meal. Beer, wine, spirits, soft drink, or water?
Beer. Every time. A good Wainwright ale or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do like the for the Thwaites Brewery. The Wainwright's my favourite. Good one.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you remember? I had this chat with Eddie. It's quite hard to find, but do you remember the last song you listened to?
Oh. I don't know. Usually in my house, it's things like The Greatest Showman soundtrack and things like that that's on in my house.
He's covering up. In my house, it's playing, and I press play. But...
No, I love The Greatest Showman. It's one of the best films ever.
It was a good film.
Yeah, but my daughter plays soundtracks and things quite a lot. So, yeah.
You know what? That film did over-deliver. I went reluctantly and came away just blown away when I watched that movie.
Loved it. Tear in my eye when I watched it. It's superb.
You do. Oh, well, Ross, thank you so much for coming on the show. Could listen to you talk about that. Brilliant experience. Amazing. Huge congratulations. Good luck with the continued recovery and the going round attempt. And we'll put a link in the show notes and on our Facebook page to your Just Giving page, so we can see that skyrocket, no doubt.
Is it Virgin Money or Just Giving? I'm not too sure, is it?
It's Virgin Money Giving.
Virgin Money Giving. I've written it down.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing perhaps another challenge in the future.
Yeah.
But rest up for now. Just getting it done for now.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. And if anyone does want to connect with me on Instagram or anything, it's roscoe.run. So you can find me there.
Oh, brilliant. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care, Ross. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Ross, for coming onto the show. What an adventure. I feel a bit let down that some adventures I've been thinking of, they're just not going to crack up to like Ross's idea of adventure. Can you imagine? Like, Ross, I was thinking like maybe I'll just like, run down to Carrefour and before I get the shopping for my little bit, and he'd be like, you need to cover like 3 different countries. And I love the way he talked about that adventure. You get knocked down, you get back up again, and how running helps his life. And what a great guy. I mean, if you're lost on the fells and he appeared, you're in safe hands there. So
I think it was up Scarfield Pike and there was some cans of cider and stuff, which I don't think they'd been drunk, but he took them all down with him, which was...
Yeah, he said he emptied them. I was like, well, you emptied them on the ground. We should also point out that he did do the Bob Graham round last weekend, wasn't it? Just the weekend before. Lakeland, 23 hours with a little bit of change. So,
I think it might have been sub 22. I think it was sub 22. But what is interesting, he basically, a friend of his was doing the Bob Graham round, and it was his friend's support crew and everything. And I think Ross pretty much carried all his own stuff, obviously probably picking up water and stuff at the different checkpoints. But wasn't this...
picking up the cider.
But it wasn't this big. Normally what happens is you've got this kind of team following you around. The way he kind of talked to us was he was going to set off and see how it went. And obviously it went very well. So fantastic. Well done, Ross.
Well done, Ross. What we got coming up, Cape Wrath is starting at the end of the week, 8 days from Fort William up to the highest point of Scotland. Normally it's in May and it's in August. Not sure what the Midges are going to be like. Worse, better. I know it's a much smaller race this year. They've only got 100 competitors and there's no international competitors. So a different vibe to those sort of races, the Dragon's Back and the Cape Wrath, which normally attract a good international feel. And sort of I like that. They sounded like, you get your crazy Norwegians and serious Germans, but none of that's here. But they've been waiting for that race to happen for a long time. So best of luck to anybody doing that.
Good luck.
Any other races?
We've got the Beast of the Beacons, a 20 and a 40-mile race on the Brecon Beacons. So that's not going to be easy. Up and down quite a few. Is it the SAS? Kind of do all the bits and bobs around there.
They all do all that. I like running around the beacons though. Borrowdale Fell race. Yeah,
very popular one over there. So again, that's going to be straight up some steep climbs and hurtling down some fast descents too.
And have you entered a new race, Gary? You've put some of your money aside and decided to throw it into... Well,
I cashed in the kids' trust fund, speculated. Even if I had that kind of money, Eddie, I wouldn't. And I've not fact-checked this completely. So,
but let's talk about it. Let's firstly say, if you have entered, tell us what.
If anybody's entered this, get in touch. We'd love to have a chat with you. But from what I gather, it's Highland Kings Ultra. And I saw this, I can't take credit for saying this. It was on Talk Ultra Facebook page. So Ian Corliss has flagged this up. And in a nutshell, it's 15.5 grand.
I started reading it and I was like, that's a typo. It's like they've added a 9 on the end.
Yeah, that's a lot of dosh. 120 miles. So what's that per mile? That's a lot of money. But you do get, I'm not going to criticize somebody if they can justify that and they've got the money, go for it. It's really up to them. But you do get a coach, 7 months support to help each athlete reach the start in optimal physical and psychological condition. So yeah, you've got coaching for 7 months and it's over 4 days. So I'm hoping there's a bit more than jelly babies on offer at the end of the night and some hot water.
Well, where does that money go to though? Where are you staying? Oh, it's a luxury. Oh, this is the start. How can you have a luxury ultra marathon?
It's a revolutionary and luxury. Is that kind of two? Do they go together normally? The
thing is, you cannot make ultra running glamorous. You can't buy yourself a finish in ultra running. I think anybody listening to that has learned that. You can tick off a lot of boxes to help you on the journey that will make that finish a little closer to come by. I was going to say easier, but it's not. At the end, you cannot. It's not like, I will whisper this, but in triathlon, you can throw quite a lot of money at triathlon. You can get yourself a really good bike. You can get yourself all the kit. At the end of the day, in an ultra, it's you and the ultra and your head and your legs. You cannot. No one can. I mean, unless they're carrying people, they've got sort of like stretchers.
But they're going to get you in optimal psychological condition, Eddie. So your head should be as good as it's ever going to be. You've got 7 months to get your head right for that, apparently. So
I don't understand where all that money. Where you're staying in like golden yurts with
rose petals at the end of the day.
Rose petals shrinking. But part of ultra running is the grizzle, isn't it? And it's the dirt.
Yeah,
and
I love
the multi days. I love the grit, the multi day when you're like, well, you. Sorry about this, might touch a nerve, Gary, but I tie my hair back, at the start of the week, and I don't, in a nice ponytail, and you don't touch it again for like the rest of the week. You don't shower, you wear the same kit. It's all like you get back to your proper roots. I don't think that's they probably would chuck me off that race if I went to it. They'd be like, you didn't bring your black tie for the evening dining.
Anyway, well, like I say, if you've got that kind of money,
stop it, we're gonna
wind your neck in, Eddie. That's our entry gone. I could have got in touch for free. But
I want to know more. I want to know more about it.
I'd love to know more. So yeah, my goodness, anyone from the Highland Kings Ultra?
Well, if they want to give me a note, I could test that it was worth that amount of money. Feel free to get me into my tip-top optimal physical and
I'd feel psychological. Awkward, if I go to a posh hotel, I feel a bit like, out of place here. Or
can you imagine walking in to go and stay in there after a day and you're having to go to reception with like midges and dirt and everything down you and be like embarrassed. Anyway, we saw that and it made us both chuckle. So what's coming up, Gazza? What are you going to do?
Well, I've already mentioned it, actually, haven't I? You got the Bob Graham round leg 2 on Saturday at 5:30 a.m. No, I don't know whether I'll drive over and sleep in the car or just...
I feel like we have this conversation every week.
But best of luck, Sean. And, I was in Keswick today and they're doing some building work or restoration work on the Mute Hall. So his photographs aren't going to be very nice with all the scaffolding.
Stop it. He'll have to go back and take the photos.
I can Photoshop it out. You never know.
Oh, you're super clever at that sort of stuff. So leg two.
Leg two. Yeah, it's literally like in and out, SAS.
And then after that, just no more races to London.
No more races to London. I think I've got a week off and then the training plan starts for Valencia. My friend just texted me, actually. It's on. Valencia is on, but I need a COVID passport or something like that. So I need to.
This is it. So I'll tell you, in France now, you have to have your passport on your phone, and if you're not double vaccinated, you cannot get into. Well, this week the swimming pool. So it came in on Tuesday. And on Monday, the swimming pool, we have this amazing, I think I might have sent you a few gloating photographs from it at some point. The amazing swimming pool complex, literally just down the road. And the kids have these like really cheap local swim lessons. Anyway, and you can't get in if you're not double vaccinated. And from, I think, next week, you can't go to any cafes, bars, restaurants.
Oh, wow.
And in France, it's big out, the French hate being told what they can do. But so the pool was rammed on Monday, and then Tuesday it was empty because so many of the French have not been double vaccinated. Now they are. Now apparently there's massive queues because Macron has said we're going to make this law that you have to be double vaccinated to do anything. So we have this now scanning thing. The only thing is I'm really bad at charging my phone and it's got the scanner thing on. So we were going to the pool and my phone was like beep, 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 beep. and I was like running towards the scanner lady going, feet, scan it quick because my phone's about to die. So I'm like, right, I need to photocopy this thing and have it on everywhere if you can't get to anywhere. So yeah, maybe is that what you're going to need?
Yeah, I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I saw the text, and when you see a text and if you look at it, then your little notification light goes. So I'm deliberately not looked at it, so I don't forget.
I do that with emails. Until then, I just.
So yeah, that's it. And yourself then. So yeah, you got your race. Saturday or Sunday race? What's the?
It's Sunday. It's Sunday. Hopefully my husband will make his way home and busy with the kids. And one of my kids is camping up at like 2,000 meters tonight. Walked up 2,000 meter climb this morning. That's what 10-year-olds do around here. Yeah. And it's a bit stormy, but is
it like with the Scouts group or something the equivalent?
It's with his ski club. So they do all this like land-based training during the summer holidays. They do something they do about like 10 hours a week of like hiking. They do roller hockey. They do loads of like strength, fitness, power, speed before they start skiing again. They go over to glaciers in like October. It's only 10, but it's great because his poor legs, his little skinny twiglets, and he's like, my legs really hurt, Mum. I'm like, yeah, welcome to our world. He doesn't know. He did come back last week. He said, oh, Mum, we had to run 3K and it was just the warm up. And they'd already done like 1,000 meter climb in the morning. And then they had to go and do all this like power work in the afternoon. He's like, oh, but I thought of you. And I thought, if Mum can run 40K, I can run 3K. And I was like, Bryn was going, yeah, he knows what size bread buttered that child. But I had one of those moments when I was like, it is all worthwhile. So yeah, I've got race this week and then another race next weekend. We were meant to be going to England for the first time next week, but it looks like we have to quarantine still. There's sort of talk in that it might be lifted, but so we're hanging on that the minute that Boris says our vaccines count in England, we will come and spread our super germs all over you guys.
I think we're the super spreaders, aren't we, at the moment, the Brits?
I don't know. I think everybody's just a bit of a super spreader. The kid that literally sneezed in my face at the pool today, definitely a super spreader. Oh, my life. So I'll let you know next week how the race goes. Yeah, pray for Eddie. Weather looks terrible.
No vom this week.
No, it's just not even going to enter my psyche. I don't have time for that, Gary. I do not have time for. There'll be another excuse. Don't worry.
I've got a little trophy already. You've got to up your game. Third I finished, remember?
Stop it. My cabinet is rattlingly empty. I'm never going to get onto these mountain. I'm going to have to really filter the categories.
Like a massive block of cheese or a. That'd be great.
I know. I don't really like any of the cheese or meat though. So, but the kids would be delighted. Yeah. Some sort of robichon or tartiflette. Big tray of tartiflette. A couple of weeks ago, we asked you to like, share, follow, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel by just tagging in Chia Charge. And we made a huge spreadsheet of the entries. And after much deliberation, careful and analytical data analysis, I chose the winner randomly. Gary, drum roll, please.
Drum roll. The winner is Penny Skilton. Well done, Penny. And you will win a box of Chia Charge goodies. Now, Penny, could you message me or I will reply on YouTube? But if we both have this two-pronged attack to communicate with each other, then we'll get all the details and get you a box of Chia Charge goodies. Thank you so much, everybody, for commenting with the word Chia Charge and subscribing to the YouTube channel. We've had a massive uptake in subscribers, so fantastic. Thank you very much.
Best of luck, Gary, on who are you supporting? I'm so sorry.
Sean Kennedy. Yeah, good luck, Sean.
Sean Kennedy.
I'll try my best not to be rubbish.
You'll be great. Just keep eating. Best of luck to Sean. Best of luck to Gary on leg 2. That was episode 48. I'm Eddie Sutton.
And I'm Gary Thwaites.
And let's run to the hills.